Welcome back to the hardest version of Valheim. No map, no portals, playing on the hardest combat difficulty, and when I die, I lose everything. With my ultimate goal being to take down all the bosses in Valheim. In the first episode, I went from humble beginnings to managing to take down Ixthir, the Elder, and Bone Mass, but not without struggles along the way. I left off sailing towards an unexplored island with a massive mountain at its center, in pursuit of my next target, Mater. After landing on the shore at the base of the mountain, I found a village of joggers in a field of nice, flat and open land. So of course, I killed them all and leveled all their homes to the ground, leaving me with a nice, peaceful area to set up my base camp. I took multiple voyages back and forth to my treehouse and was eventually able to set up a nice fort position to help me explore the massive mountain. Forage and here's my stone cutter and some storage. I'm going upstairs. This is the main area right here. Some more storage and my workbench. Little sleeping area. And that's it. So not much, I haven't explored anymore. Oh, let's get back into it, huh? Now it was finally time to explore the mountain. At this point, I had searched all the surrounding mountains in search of the boss altar that spawns in Moder, but this one was the most promising, being the largest I've seen since I spawned in this world over 100 hours ago. But it was quite far from my starter island and my treehouse, so hopefully coming all the way out here would pay off, otherwise I'd have to pack up and move on to the next mountain. But I guess that's how it goes when you're playing Hardcore Valheim. God. Little rusty, boys. It had been some time since I last played, causing me to almost die to the first wolf I fought. I would need to be more careful because dying would set me back hours, and the more I progress in this world, the more time it will take me to get my skills and equipment back. I would need to really take my time and scout out each area, making sure I can clear all enemies out safely from a distance with my bow. And on day 236, I climbed to the top of the mountain, hoping to give myself a good vantage point over the surrounding area. This mountain is pretty huge. Oh? Is that the boss? Looks like it. That's lucky, holy crap. Oh, it's definitely the boss. Cool. So I have an egg in the ship. There's an egg down there, and there's an egg over there. Well, actually, I could fight this guy pretty soon. Looks like I shouldn't have took that break, guys. After only one full day of exploring the mountain, I had found what I was looking for. Maybe the boss altar does have a higher chance to spawn on bigger mountains. Or maybe I just got really lucky. Now that I had found Moder, it was time to come up with a plan to fight her safely. Since the fight would most likely last 10 minutes or more, I had to come up with a way to keep the wolves from killing me. So I started gathering the resources necessary to build a boss arena. I figured the easiest way to do this was to use the hoe to build a wall around the fighting area. All you Valheim veterans would know this technique, but if you don't know, you can use the hoe to raise the ground to create indestructible walls that the enemies cannot climb or break, essentially creating a safe zone from all non-flying creatures. This method requires a lot of stone, but is well worth the farm if it will ensure my safety. So I could actually fight him right now. I think I need to do some preparations though. Another one. I'm thinking like I wall off this side, kind of flatten out this side in order to fight him over here, I think that'd be a good idea. Let's do that. While I spend the next few days building walls and gathering stone, I would just like to thank all of you that watched my last video. As you guys can probably tell, that was my first, but there's still so many helpful and positive comments, which is cool to see given that I've never posted anything before. I'll be putting more videos out in the future, and hopefully some of you will tune in for those too. Can't wait to get out of this biome. The construction of these walls took a lot of time going up and down the mountain collecting stone, but it would hopefully be well worth the effort. When fighting these later game bosses, I wanted to give myself every advantage possible, because I really only got one shot to fight them. Man. Oh boy. As you can see, the altar is at a peak, giving me limited space to work with, which meant it would be kind of tight when I fought the boss, but hopefully that wouldn't be a problem in the future. See, this is exactly why I gotta build the wall. I don't want stone golems coming up to me in the middle of my fight. My fighting area was coming together nicely, but now it's time to use another trick. You see, Motor has two phases, a flight phase and a ground phase, and during the flight phase, she shoots breath attacks that are very hard to dodge. But this attack can easily be countered using stone pillars to hide behind. I think I'm going to build the pillar right about here, because then when he lands, he won't be able to get around it and attack me, and I'll just be able to sit back and shoot him. Yeah, right about here. So you build a big pillar, so when he's in the flying phase, you can hide behind the pillar and not get hit by his breath. Let's see how much stone I got left. Maybe I'll build another one actually, like right over here. Two areas to hide around if I need to. And actually, I can put this other egg in the altar too. Go. Wish I could have made it larger, but if I just take my time, just use my arrows and slowly shoot them, I think it should be good. With the arena done, it was time to make the final preparations, getting the best food I could and making sure I had enough arrows for the long fight. 20 rested. If I get up there in 5 minutes, I'll have 15 minutes to fight him with rested. And on day 243, I was ready to fight. Being one of the easier bosses in Valheim, and the fact that I was so prepared, I was pretty confident. But when you're playing hardcore, it only takes one mistake to wipe away hours of progress. Okay, we'll eat our food and we'll do a quick skills check and go underway. This is how we're looking. Only 53 bow. Heal up a little bit. Alright. I think this is good. Okay, the first 3 misses. Well, he does not take much damage, does he? And he hit me immediately. Alright. With a lot of damage. Okay, he landed. And he hit me again. Alright, we'll go back to the second pillar. This is not going well so far. Heal up a little bit. Should have maybe been a little bit more prepared for this fight. Not gonna lie, I thought this would be easy, but he's doing a lot of damage. Not be directly over me. That's how he hit me last time. Just back landed. Move back to the second pillar. Move back to the front pillar here. Okay, he's landed again. We'll stay back here. He has so much health. Already threw 100 arrows. Gotta be careful here. Show myself to him. I'll move back to the other pillar. Hide. Bad. He landed. I'll move back here. He landed in the middle this time. Those ice things break down like a... Okay, you can hit me with the frost though. We'll take another healing potion. What's up? Okay, okay. Back to the other pillar. Perfect. Haze landing. Oh, okay. Scared me there. Landed there, huh? Okay, come down. Firing at him. I do not like him there. He's landed. This guy's dead. This is it. We did it, boys. Pretty easy fight. Like I said, it's one of the easier ones, but I did almost die multiple times. It was probably the closest one that we've had so far, which is surprising. Okay, can finally move on to the plains. Taking down Motor, we are finally done with the mountains. I'm sure we'll be back in the future, but for now, it was on to the plains, which I actually like a lot more because of the openness and high visibility. All there was left for us to do at this base was to pack it up and sail back to the treehouse, where I knew there was plains nearby from when I was searching for bone mass, but there would be one stop I wanted to make while I was in the area. So I think around this island, should be able to find that swamp that had the bog witch on it. Hope so. I'm pretty sure, if not connected, it's at least close, because I was able to see this mountain from there. There's the swamp. And there's my shelter. Why did I want to see the bog witch? Because she sells fragrant bundles, which I may use in the future to ward off mosquitoes. But the mead does require groupers, which I would need to buy a fishing pole to catch. Bro. That's fine, we'll buy some. Anyway. Now it was time for my long voyage home. Some of you are commenting how I should draw the map out how I think it looks in MS Paint, which I might actually do later in the video. Thing is though, I've mainly stuck around my starting island, and after spending over 100 hours in this world, I actually kind of have a pretty good idea of where I'm going. It's kind of like when you're driving to a certain spot or city multiple times, eventually you just kind of know how to get around, which is actually a really weird feeling to have in a video game, to be honest. But that being said, I will have to move beyond the surrounding islands once I reach a certain point, so maybe I'll see if I can draw a rough map then. Another serpent? Holy crap. That's it, I think. It's been a while, treehouse. We're back home. Since it's been so long since I've been back to the treehouse, there were some upkeep things I had to take care of, but this base would unfortunately not work for the long term for when I ventured into the plains, since I would need to be able to make a farm. And because I can't use portals, I would need to make a new base closer to the plains. So my first goal would be to scout out the plains by boat and find a good spot to build my next base. Venturing down the coastline, I was looking for a spot that was in a safer biome like the meadows or black forest, but was also connected to the plains. This would ensure that most of the base was safe from the more deadly monsters, but I'd still be able to have a farm. This was the first spot I checked out, which is a black forest connected to my main swamp with plains on the other side. From the coast, the terrain looks kind of a pain to build on, so I decided to dock to take a closer look. It's just a normal village. It's a Draugr camp again. Aren't they supposed to be pretty rare? Holy, that guy could probably kill me. I have a plan. If I shoot this guy, bring him into the village, I think he'll die. Does he have to be a 1-star? Every time I enter a new biome, I really have no idea how much damage I'm going to do to the new creatures, or how much damage they'll do to me. So when I'm first encountering new enemies, I always like to test things out. But when it comes to 1-star monsters, I've learned my lesson with the Draugr. I avoid them completely. As you can tell, I got a little distracted. So I headed back home to sleep and gather more resources for my next base. There's a table over here. One of the worst things about no portals is having to use a boat to travel around, even to collect the most basic of resources. Throughout this video, I probably made over 20 resource trips just for wood and stone. It also doesn't help that I really like building, so sometimes I use a lot more resources than necessary. But this is the struggles of being a solo, not having anybody to cut the trees down for you. Day 250. Okay, now it's time to get serious. If I want to progress, I would have to get a base set up and running in the plains. So this would now be my main focus going forward. So I sailed along the same path as I did when I was looking for bone mass, traveling along the edge of the island looking for any spot that would give me a safe place to build. While traveling, I ran across a lot of interesting things, 2 more swamps that were close by, and a couple of goblin villages. I'll have to remember where those are for later. And that's when I found it, a small strip of black forest sandwiched between 2 plains biomes. Relatively flat and right on the coast. Pretty much exactly what I was looking for. Now that I had found a good location, it was time to grind. because I was going to need a lot of resources to make this a safe sanctuary for the next leg of my adventure. The thing that made my treehouse base so powerful for hardcore was the fact that it was pretty much raid-proof, which in my mind is an essential feature of any long-term base. But since I was going to build this new base on land, I would have to find other ways to counter the raids. After finally gathering enough resources, I was finally able to start my next base. And most of you guys can probably already recognize my next strategy I'll be using to protect my base from raids. And I use something similar when building the boss arena, this being the raised ground feature to create indestructible walls. This is extremely powerful when it comes to base defense. There's a couple flaws though. First being it doesn't completely protect you from flying enemies. And second is that it doesn't look very good. But there are ways to make it look better, which I will try to do. Despite my base mostly being in Black Forest, I still got some plains enemies coming to attack me, but this wouldn't be a problem as long as I was able to get the walls up without dying.
Oh god. I'm not rested.
As you can see, I'm extending the wall to go all the way to the edge of the plains. This is because I'll want to expand in the future once I have crops to plant. Almost having the rough foundations done, you can see I was making it a fairly decent size. This is because this will be my main base for the foreseeable future, and I wanted to have enough room for everything. But I also wanted to make it relatively compact, so I felt like this size was a good combination of both. And of course, this is going to take a lot more stone than I thought it was going to.
I guess I'll wait it out. The tower? Sure is.
After I got the rough walls done, it was time to clear out the middle and see what I was working with.
He's climbing the walls.
After clearing some of the middle, I thinned out the walls with my pickaxe. This makes them better to build on without losing their protection.
Oh, well, that's fun. That's dumb. Absolutely just exploding the ship.
Now that I had a safe and flat area to build on, it was now time to start actually building. My first goal was to make the walls look decent while also being easy to defend. Now it's starting to actually look like a proper base, but I still wanted to make the walls more detailed and add overhangs so I could shoot any monsters that tried to attack. If you guys have any building tips that have helped you, let me know. I'm always looking for better ways to build, especially for when I hopefully make it to the Mistlands. Since the base was fully enclosed by walls, I started making a dock area that would serve as my entrance and exit. This would also be useful for loading and unloading my ship. As you guys can see, the base is not completely safe from destruction like the treehouse was, but at least none of the trolls can get inside to destroy my valuables. With the walls finally being constructed, I now had to go gather more wood for construction of my house. For the inside, I was planning to build a couple of buildings. First, the house would serve as my storage and workshop, along with having all the comfort items to keep my rested buff high. And then I wanted to build a separate building for all my cooking and meads. And since the whole inside area was safe, I could also put the furnaces outside to save space. For the main house, I decided to go with a compact 2-story design that would give me the space I needed, but not take up too much room inside the walls. I've always been the base builder in every game I've played, even though I might not be very good at it. But there's just something about Valheim building that's so satisfying. All the details you can add really just sucks me in, and I can't stop adding things. I feel like most people probably prefer fighting enemies and bosses, so maybe I'm just weird. I always like to expand the building as it gets higher. I feel like it adds depth to the structure instead of being just a flat wall. So that's what I'm doing here with the second floor, and I'll be doing the same when I get to the roof. Here I'm sectioning off the bedroom. This is where I'll add a lot of the comfort items that help with the rested buff. If you guys don't know how this buff works, here's a quick rundown. Pretty much you can add stuff like braziers, rugs, and other things to stack up your buff to make it last longer. Keep in mind that you only need one of each of the items to make it work. Having multiple of the same category won't give you any extra effect. Now working on the roof, I added a chimney to my bedroom to help vent the smoke out cleanly. With the roof coming together nicely, I wanted to add tall ceilings to the upper level to give a more grand and cozy feel. And with that being done, I went around and added some exterior decoration. As you can see, it's looking pretty hollow right now, but I'll fill it out in the future. Now it was time to add the storage and a little bit of furniture.
Bro.
Since I finished the main part of my house, I went on to start building the cooking shack. This building wasn't going to be as big as the first, since I would just need enough room to make all my food and meats. And with the structures mostly complete, it was time to start moving all my stuff from the treehouse to this base. Good thing it's only like a 5-minute sail if I have good wind. But of course, having a portal would be really nice. The treehouse did treat me really well. It was the perfect outpost for my adventures into the swamp and exploration of the surrounding islands. But when you're playing hardcore, it's impossible to have one main base, and this definitely wouldn't be the last time I had to pack everything up and move. That being said, I'll definitely be back here to use as a place to sleep on my long voyages at sea. I decided to hide most of the workbench and forge upgrades around the back of the house to free up more space on the inside. Placing the forges, I realized that I'd be getting some mosquitoes in the base from time to time, but this shouldn't be a problem as long as I kept my food up and my eyes out for them.
Okay.
Making a few more trips back and forth between bases, I was almost ready to finally make my way into the plains, in which I'd have to kill feelings for black metal and carefully explore the area to find villages in order to get flax and barley. And after I acquired those things, I could make a farm granting me access to the next tier of food and armor. From all the time it took me to build a plains base, I actually killed quite a lot of enemies around the walls, so this gave me a pretty good head start for black metal and locksmith. I was now fully ready to venture into the plains. I would kind of start off the way I did with the mountains, sneaking around trying to kill most enemies from a distance, but I was still going to have trouble with locks because of their large amount of health, but they're pretty easy enemies to avoid overall. And if I did get into any trouble, I could always run back to the safety of my walls.
Okay, well, it would have killed me with that shield.
And only about a 30-second run from my base, I found my first small camp. This wouldn't give me any totems, which you need for the boss, but it would provide me with the flax and barley I was looking for. When clearing these camps, I find the safest way is to elevate yourself with either a rock or raising the ground, and from that vantage point, you can pick them off one by one. And this is the perfect example of why I think the Huntsman Bow is better than the Draugr Fang, especially in hardcore. Because of its silent feature, you can kill most of the fuelings without drawing the aggro of any of the surrounding ones. Because even on a rock, you can pull multiple spear throwers or shamans, and that will most likely put you in a lot of trouble.
Wow.
I've actually been pretty lucky with not getting the "You Are Being Hunted" raid, this being one of the worst raids in my opinion because of the sheer number of wolves that spawn. Not to mention that this could happen to you even when you're not in your base, pretty much making it a necessity to keep a hoe with enough stone to quickly raise the ground under you.
I hate this one, bro. How long does this last? Thank God. That was a clutch shot.
After sleeping, I returned to finish the job I started the previous day. Finally, I cleared it out enough to make my way in for the loot, just having to kill a few stragglers that I missed. And after clearing that camp, I pretty much had all I needed to start upgrading my equipment. I like to keep myself as armed and protected as possible, and I think grinding a little harder for the best stuff is definitely better than dying and having all your skills reset to 0. So at this point, I would begin construction of my farm. I would be using the same technique I did for the rest of the base, but I knew I wouldn't need to make it too big because I was playing solo and only needed enough space to sustain myself. Now that the area was safe, I connected the two so I could easily travel back and forth.
Look at that.
And just like that, I was ready to begin my first grow. I wanted to get them in the ground as soon as possible so I could start multiplying them. And while I was doing all that, I was also running my Kilman furnaces.
Go, big guy. Let's go.
And my first black metal craft was an axe. I know you guys think I'm stupid, but the amount of wood I've cut down is obnoxious. Anything to help me do it faster was something I valued a lot.
No. No. Stop.
I think I'll have to find a way to build my next base in a way I don't have to defend. Now that my farm was up and running, I had a big problem to deal with, one that every player in Valheim runs into. I had an iron problem. Yes, I know, crazy. Instead of using the materials from the plains, I would have to instead go back 2 zones and farm the swamp again. But at least I had better equipment now than I did then, which should make it a lot easier. I noticed some of you commenting that I could use my wishbone for iron too, which I knew but never tried, so I spent the first couple of trips trying this method. I found that the swamp was a lot easier than I remember it being, showing how much progress I'd actually made. But of course, this progress could be wiped out with just one mistake.
On.
After pretty much a full day of using the wishbone method, I had gathered a whopping 9 iron. I noticed that all the veins were small and halfway underwater, but maybe I'm just doing it wrong, like the last episode when I was mining for copper. It looks like I'd have to go back to farming swamp crypts if I wanted to gather iron fast, but before I went searching for more, I had some base upkeep to take care of. After building a windmill for my barley, I was ready to go back to farming for iron. But unfortunately, I'd already cleared all the crypts from the swamp near the treehouse, so I'd have to explore another. But luckily, I did pass one I haven't explored yet in between the 2 bases. While exploring, I did try to mine a few more on the surface, but it just wasn't giving me a whole lot. Not finding any crypts before dark, I decided to go back to the plains base and return the next day.
Oh, wow.
After venturing a little deeper, I was able to find 3 dungeons clumped up next to each other. These would hopefully provide me with more than enough iron for now. And after a few days of clearing these dungeons, I was now set up with enough iron to finally upgrade my armor. lot of you are probably wondering why I'm not using the root harness, which provides resistance to pierce, a really effective tool against Deathsquitos. But my thinking was that I could already survive 1 to 2 hits from them, which is more than enough time to kill them. So I favored more overall armor to reduce attacks from all things, which I think saved my life quite a bit because there have been a lot of times where I was knocked down to single-digit health. After days of farming and smelting, I finally had all I needed to make the padded armor set. My wolf armor has served me well, but I definitely was long overdue for an upgrade. This would make clearing the plains a whole lot safer moving forward. On day 306, I just had a few more things I needed to do before I could start the next leg of my adventure, and that would be preparing to locate and fight Yegluth. To start, I would need to raid and clear the nearby Fueling villages to acquire 5 of their totems, which are used to summon Yegluth at his altar. Feeling confident and geared up, I began my search for the larger villages. Making my way to the opposite side of the forest, I thought this would be a good area to look because I had yet to explore it. Bro, I can't hit this guy. Thank you. There's the tower I saw earlier. And after finding one, I began to slowly clear it. There's a berserker. So they can climb right up this. I'm a dumbass. I almost straight up just killed myself there. Wow, that was special. That's actually embarrassing. I might have to cut that. It's a shaman right there. Okay, I do need to kill this other berserker. It's the only guy I'm really nervous about. That guy. Alright, we're going in. There's still more guys in there. There's another shaman. He's dead. They're everywhere. I think they're all dead. Some patience and a good bow skill really makes clearing these camps easy. The plain so far has been one of the better biomes to play in hardcore. Alright, that's one down. It's pretty easy. This might be controversial. I actually think the plains is less dangerous than the mountains. I think Deathsquitos you can easily see, and they don't like run up on you as fast as wolves do, and they just absolutely destroy you. But I could be wrong.
off.
After clearing that first one, I headed towards another one I saw from my boat while sailing from the treehouse.
I think there's another one in there. There it is. Dying, huh? Guys are freaking everywhere. Might have to kill this death skeeto first here.
Killing most of the fuelings, I headed back towards my base as the sun set. I'll be back the next day to finish the job.
Oh, fuck. Fuck. Get out of my house. Fuck me.
Only a few enemies remaining, I quickly cleared the rest and collected my totems.
Alright. Should be 4.
Finding 3 from one village was huge. Now all I needed to do was find one more, so I had the required 5 to fight Yegluth. And, in the shadow of the Stone Tower dungeon, I found the last village I needed. Oh god. Yeah, he might one-shot me. Okay. Okay. Oh god. Wow. Killed himself. No. Just like that, I collected all the totems I needed. Now that left me with just one problem. How was I going to find Yagluth? Well, I guess this has kind of been a problem with every boss, but Yag is notoriously hard to find, so I knew tracking him down would not be easy. But unlike the swamp, the plains is really open, so following the coastlines, it should be pretty easy to scout for the altar using a boat. It might take me a couple hours of sailing, but this is how I managed to find bone mass. So using that method to find Yag would probably be my best bet, but this would mean leaving all my supplies behind. So I need to spend some time preparing for the potentially long voyage. Before I set off to find Yag, I had kind of a punch list of things I wanted to do. First, I wanted to fully upgrade my Frostnir because unfortunately, I probably won't be able to rely on my bow as much for this fight, because Yagluth is very resistant to pierce damage, but he's neutral to frost, so I'll have to make some frost arrows before I leave. The next thing I want to do was upgrade my shield, which requires chain, of course forcing me to go back to the swamp. And the last thing I wanted to do was make use of the fragrant bundles I got from the Bog Witch a long time ago. The anti-sting potions require groupers, which means I'd have to get a fishing pole and bait, so I'd have to make a long boat ride to Haldir. But the first thing I was going to do is get started on my meads and food that I was going to take with me, since those things would take a while to be ready. For more healing meads, I would need to go collect some more blood bags, which I repeatedly kept forgetting about every time I went to the swamp. I really should have made some earlier, because having these with you could easily save you from dying. And after coming back from the swamp, I realized I had no raspberries. So I would need to go back to the meadows and collect some. But before I did that, I got a little sidetracked because I wanted to see if I could take on a tar pit. You may have noticed I've been doing my best to avoid these. This is because the growth that spawn there spit poison tar at you from quite a long distance. But now that I've geared up, I felt powerful enough to take one on. Oh, I didn't even see the locks. Okay, I got some tar. Don't be like me. Bring poison resistance meads if you want to take these on. I kind of underestimated the damage they would do and could have easily died. But after chasing the locks away, I was able to take out the growths and collect the pool. If you guys didn't know, to collect all the tar from the middle of the pool, you have to dig a channel to drain it. This is time consuming, but will net you quite a bit of tar, which is used for a lot of build pieces. Oh, don't do that, you fuck. Oh. Shit. After fixing up my base and crafting a black metal gear, I quickly sailed over to the meadows to collect some raspberries for my meats. When I first started this world, I didn't really realize how many items in Valheim require things from previous biomes, but it definitely becomes a big factor when playing with no portals, and this will probably become an even bigger problem when I reach the Mistlands and Ashlands. Finally getting my meats done, I was ready to start checking things off my list, starting with getting some silver to upgrade frosting. To do this, I would need to sail to the closest mountain, which is located across the bay on the island where the swamp I've been clearing is. Can't really get this side down anymore. Maybe I'll start at this corner and then maybe I can get the pop out of it. Okay. Both sides went. Bang. There we go. Just one golem there that I'm gonna completely ignore. Okay. That was a little risky. After spending a couple days in the mountains, I had more than enough silver. Since my armor and skills were much improved, it was actually pretty easy and the monsters there weren't much of a threat. Hopefully that will continue into the future. Getting home, I quickly started smelting all the silver I just collected, and after that I tapped my meads and did some base upkeep. These fire-resistant wines are crucial when fighting Yaglu, since he does a lot of fire damage. Anybody fighting Yag should have some sort of fire resistance. And with that, I got enough silver to max out my Frostnir. With my Frostnir maxed out, it was time to yet again go into the swamp, but this time in search of chain, which drops off of wraiths and spawning crypt chests. But because wraiths only spawn at night, I was just going to clear another dungeon and farm some iron while I was at it. No. There we go, some chain. Nice. 3 chain, that's all I think I need. 19 iron. Another 30 so. Luckily, it only took me 1 dungeon to get all the chain I needed, and I was also able to get a couple more stacks of iron, which would always be useful down the road. No, man. Just like that, 2 out of the 3 things were done. Now, all that was left was to make the mosquito repellent, which I don't know how useful it would be, but I had to justify me going out of my way to see the bog witch. So now, I had to spend the next couple days sailing to see Haldir. This wouldn't be the last time I'd have to go see Haldir, since after I kill Yagluth, he begins selling eggs, which unlocks the next tier of food. So at least until then, I couldn't get lost, otherwise it would be impossible to progress. Hello. Hello, Odin. After catching up with my old friend Haldir and acquiring my fishing rod, I set sail back towards the base. But instead of following the coast, I decided I would try to take what I thought would be a more direct path. And I ended up getting myself a bit lost.
I'm not recognizing anything over here. Okay, well, it must be to the right somewhere, my Sutter Island, so I'm just gonna keep following this one. I guess. A little scary, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, there's a landmass to the right. That must be it. This must be where I was getting my wood from. Oh, I would recognize that rock structure anywhere. Right over there, that's the tree house. This hasn't rendered in. I think I know where I'm at. This must be the mountain I got the silver from earlier. Yeah, those 3 rocks. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, that's the swamp right there. It's that black forest. The plane should be right beyond it. Yep, there's the swamp. This should be the swamp that I was farming.
With that crisis averted, and it only adding a little more time to my journey, I considered myself lucky to make it back home. Now it was time for me to do some fishing, which I've never done before. So my first couple of casts, I had no idea what I was doing. But after some trial and error and a little bit of research, I learned that you needed a lot of stamina to reel in the fish. So I went back and crafted the high stamina food I could, and took my boat out so I can get closer to the fish. And because grouper was a high tier fish, and my fishing skill was 0, it was kind of hard to reel any of them in. Yeah, okay, here we go. Now we're catching them. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No. I'm just trying to fish, man. Day 333. Come on, man. No way! One jumped on the ship. That's all I need. Alright. Wait. Need a 3 grouper or not count as 3 grouper because yes. Okay. There we go. Boom. Hours of my life gone, I had finally achieved greatness. Mosquitoes would no longer sting me. Now I just had to wait for it to brew. I hope it was worth it. While I waited for that, I did some final preparations. I killed more lox for food, gathered more wood, and got some copper so I could make another forge wherever I landed. This would make it so I could repair my gear for the potential boss fight. Jesus Christ. At base, I tested out my 1-button dodge macro somebody suggested that I make. I honestly can't believe I didn't think of this before, since I've done this in so many other games, and it actually works really well. I can't pronounce her name, but my brother, you're a legend. There we go. After one final sleep, and on day 335, I said goodbye to my mighty plains stronghold, at least for now. I would return after defeating the Yagluth, or naked with all my skills reset to 0. So, I'm thinking that I'll probably head around this island first. So last time we explored around this way for bone mass. I think I'm gonna head to the island that I've been doing the swamp over here, where I got lost going around. Just because I kind of want to explore it anyway. So I'm going to explore that one first and probably just continue on from there. As we set sail with no known destination, I would like to thank you for watching this video all the way through. Hopefully we can find Yagluth and enter the Mistlands in Part 3.